Hey friends, Kristyglass here with a finished object for you. And now that I'm saying this, I don't even know what it's called. Hold on. This is the Superbulky Grandpa by Hohi Locatelli. It's my second Hohi pattern and I had such a wonderful time knitting this. So let me just tell you how this sweater came to be. 2 factors. I always do that, and that's 4. 2 factors. You may know that I have a lot of hand knit sweaters. I knit sweaters. I'm in a sweater phase and I'm trying to also knit a sock here and there or maybe a shawl or something different, but I just really like knitting sweaters. I've been knitting sweaters now for, I would say, years. I have a closet full of sweaters. Most of them fit me very well. Most of them I wear on a regular basis. There are a few that turned out great, but maybe I don't choose all of the time. And a friend of mine actually who was visiting tried on my Camaro sweater, and I don't wear it because it's a little wide on the shoulder, even though I love that sweater so much. And so I said, if you love that sweater, you should have it. So I'm even giving away sweaters at this point. So when I look in my closet and I see a sweater that I've purchased, I think I really need to replace that sweater. I had a phase several years ago of wearing every day. My uniform was leggings, tall boots, a tunic, and a cardigan, like a long cardigan. That was my uniform all the time. I still wear that look, but I realized I still have these sweaters that I used to wear on the daily that I love so much, and they're still in my closet, and I'm not wearing them. But look, I still can't get rid of it. But this is one of them. So I got it at a sample sale. I think it was a Free People sweater. And it's probably a DK or a worsted weight sweater. And what I like about it is it has this trim on the bottom. So it was long, it covered my back side, and it felt kind of like a coat. And it's a cardigan style, and I never really buttoned up the buttons. In fact, there are 2 buttons missing, and it doesn't even matter because I wear it open. So I've been saying to myself, I need to just replace all of these sweaters in my closet and not have store-bought sweaters anymore because I knit so much. I need to be wearing what I knit. So that was the first factor, is that I have this sort of umbrella goal of replacing my store-bought sweaters with hand knit sweaters. Second factor is I love Liberty of London. So I don't know exactly the history of Liberty of London. I was exposed to Liberty of London as a fabric. I think I probably discovered it at Pearl Soho, which is a knitting and fabric store and other craft. I would say it's a fiber arts store in Soho. And so I discovered the fabric there. Liberty of London also pairs with different companies to make things. So J. Crew sometimes has a Liberty of London blouse or some other line that's incorporating the fabric or the print. And I think it's a brick and mortar shop, or was a brick and mortar shop actually in London. If you are a Londoner, can you please let us know the history of Liberty of London? Because as an American, that's all I've been exposed to is these yards of fabric. I noticed in Paris that there was Liberty of London bias tape and also buttons, covered buttons. So at this one shop, they had this whole section of Liberty of London buttons, and I thought, yeah, I need some of those. But I need to know what I'm using them for, so I'm not just buying random buttons. And I think this sweater was in my queue, the Superbulky Grandpa. I don't know how, I don't remember how I made the connection, but I think perhaps I had been researching Woolfolk Hugo, which is this beautiful, beautiful yarn that I'm currently super obsessed with. And I probably just tagged it as a sweater I wanted to make. So it came to my mind as, oh, that's a sweater that has big buttons, because these buttons were big. So I was with Pauline, who was my fabulous tour guide for my fiber arts tour in Paris, and she quickly pulled up Ravelry on her phone and looked at the pattern and saw there were 3 buttons. So I just went through every single button, and we just kept putting different combinations of the 3 because I wanted 3 different ones, and we finally thought, that's it. That is the combination of those 3 buttons. So I bought buttons before I knit a sweater. I basically picked out buttons and then knit a sweater around it. Then the yarn. So this yarn, this Woolfolk Hugo yarn, is so cozy. It knits up so quickly. On this day of recording this video, I have knit 2 other sweaters in Woolfolk Hugo. This is my 3rd. It knits up so quickly, and it is so very warm. The other day it was sweater weather. It was probably 57 degrees. I wasn't wearing this, but I wore my other one out, and it was just the warmest thing I could possibly wear. In the fall transition periods, I was sitting on my rooftop with this cool breeze and felt the coziest I've ever felt in a sweater knit with this wool faux cuga. And I have a funny story about this because my friends Melissa and Lisa of Espastrico, they're very sensitive about what they call pick. And I'm sure they're not the only ones that call it, but it's a term I've really only heard them use. And when they say a yarn has pick, they're talking about how the alpaca in the yarn, so alpaca have guard hairs, and guard hairs guard hairs in an alpaca, if they're in the yarn, which they are in the yarn, they can have a little pick to it, which I think they would describe as like a little feeling of like a bristle, or it's not scratchy. That's why they use the word pick. It kind of like picks at your skin, these guard hairs. This is how they explain it to me. So I was showing them this yarn, and they were both like putting it on their face and feeling it all over their body. And Melissa was feeling it here, and she goes, oh, there it is. There it is. So something about the skin on her neck, which is actually very different skin from your face. I know this because when I'm getting my face done by a makeup artist professional, I often will react to the products on my neck, but not on my face. So there is something different with the skin on your neck and the skin on your face. I don't know how or why. It's so weird. But anyway, she was feeling it, and then she goes, oh, there it is. And I did the same thing. I tried it on all the different skin that was exposed at the time, and I was like, I don't feel what you're feeling. So she said, some people are sensitive to it and some people aren't. I am not sensitive to it. I love this yarn. I think it's so soft and so cozy. Let's talk about the pattern. I'm not a huge purler. I don't love purling, although I can finally purl with much less discomfort thanks to Kristen of Wool and Vine's tutorial. I think she calls it the Norwegian purl. I'll try to remember to link it down under this video. But now I can purl so much better. And this pattern is done flat. It's back and forth. So there's a lot of purling involved, and it's okay. It went by so quickly that it didn't bother me. I guess this is considered Raglan. I think this is what we call Raglan. So there's these increases at this certain point with the marker. It's very straightforward, very easy. And the nice thing is you make the shawl collar at the same time. So you don't have to pick up anything when it's over. And the only thing you have to add on later is the sleeve, and that goes by really quickly because it's so bulky. I think that I added a little bit of extra inches to the sleeve because I knew that I wanted the sleeves to hang down like onto my hands. It was about probably, I think I took a little break, but it probably took me about 3 or 4 days because it's just so big. I did swatch, and I had to change my needle size. So I think, let me see what the gauge says. Oh, the gauge swatch says to use a 15 needle, but I'm at gauge at a 17 needle. And I had some left over, but the amount of yarn that I purchased was both for the extra small and the small size. I think maybe I would have done the small in the end because, well, when I look at it on Hohi, because she has several pictures of her wearing it, I think that it hits her about where mine hits me. You can see. And when I first put it on, this collar was not folding back at all, so you really do have to block it. But I think I might have overblocked it because I really pulled it a lot. I don't think this sweater looks good when I close the buttons. I think it's just a wear open sweater for me. So let me just show you. I mean, I'll show you some full length shots later, but I love how it wears just open, but this looks a little funny to me. Like, I don't know if I just overblocked it right here. Like, I wish it would sit nicely like Hohi's sweater, but see, it goes like that. So I don't know if that's a blocking problem, because in the back it kind of comes up shorter. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know if I overblocked it or if maybe it's the wrong size, because I made an extra small instead of a small. So when I close the buttons, first of all, I'm terrible at matching up buttons, right? I'm so bad at it. So when I close the buttons, it doesn't lay quite right. So I don't know if it's just my butt's too big and I should have done the small. Like, is that what the problem is? I don't know. Do you see what I'm talking about? I don't think it photographs as beautifully as Hohi's does. Maybe if I, let's see. That's a little better. Oh, I forgot about the pocket. I'm back. Is that weird when I talk and you can't see my face? There's a pocket! So I guess you could do 2 pockets. There's definitely enough to do a second pocket if you do the extra small, but I do love the idea of a pocket. I sewed the pocket on and the buttons on with regular thread, like DMC. I actually didn't have any, but I found a sewing kit that had a pink color, so I used all that until it ran out, and then I switched to gray, and I used the gray on one of the buttons. You'll never know. But that's one thing that's a little tricky about this yarn, I guess, because it's so thick. You can't use it to put the button on. So, do you want to see a close-up of the buttons? I have no regrets knitting this sweater. It is so cozy. It just makes me feel so happy when I put it on. It's like the ultimate Huga moment when it's been a long day, you've done 17,000 steps, you're not sure, did everyone eat? You know, that hectic school mom life that I'm leading right now, to just come home and put on my sweater. It's like a Mr. Rogers moment where I put it on and everything feels right in the world. I just love it. And I love my Liberty of London buttons. I love that I got them in Paris. I just really like making connections like that. I really highly suggest purchasing buttons when you go on a trip, because there's something about bringing them into a project. It's like a souvenir and a memory, and it makes the knitting of the project that much more meaningful. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I certainly enjoyed how this all came together. I guess I would just, one word of caution, I would just suggest maybe really paying attention to gauge on this one and how much yarn you have, because I think if I had to do it over again, maybe I would make this small, or maybe I should just try blocking it again. Like if I get it all wet again, I can re-block it, right? So those are my 2 just little iffy moments on this sweater, but I don't really care because it's all about just feeling cozy. It's not really about, is this flattering? Or I may not even ever leave the house in it. It's kind of my house sweater and I love it for that reason. Thank you, as always, for checking into Kristyglass Knits. I hope you enjoyed this finished object video, and I will see you next time. Here's a little tip. There is a Kristy's Finished Object playlist. I have lots of playlists here actually. You can explore for hours. There's NYC, there's Knitter's Bucket List, there's trips. It's all organized so that you can watch every video about a given subject. And if you're ever watching Kristyglass Knits and want to know, what are you wearing? It's probably over in the Kristy's Finished Object playlist or on my Ravelry page under projects. So I try to keep it organized for you so that you can find what you're looking for and I don't have to answer all the questions all the time, because I get a few messages I gotta get through. But I do try to make it organized for you so that it's easy for you to navigate my channel. Bye!